Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and finally Season 5 of Diablo 4. We're just one day into the new season. With it comes a bunch of changes, new details and content, and new mechanics you're going to need to understand. This video is dedicated to the new Infernal Hordes mechanic, the new wave system in which you overcome wave after wave of enemies, which will only get harder and harder as you go. There's a lot to consider there, like it being the best source of greater affix drops, or, various new uniques, not to mention the insane XP to time value while you're still leveling. So we want to explain everything and give you everything you need to know. You unlock the Infernal Hordes by following the new questline, the Eyes of the Enemy, which you'll first have available in World Tier 3. It's a short story involving the NPC Estelle, and it ends rather suddenly during the quest Sins of the Willing, at which point you'll get your first Infernal Compass, and using these, you activate a special dungeon called the Infernal Hordes, and then you complete it like you would any other Nightmare dungeon, killing all the enemies under limited revives. Now, just like Nightmare dungeons, they come in tiers, which will of course increase the difficulty the higher the tier, but also the potential rewards. They go from tiers 1 to 8 currently, with tier 1 being your World Tier 3 option, then everything above World Tier 2 and above, that equates to World Tier 4. In your Infernal Horde Tier 3 and above though, you'll start to get access to the guaranteed greater affix chest, so your goal is going to be getting into those Tier 3 Infernal Hordes and above as soon as possible. However, the challenge will scale as you go higher, of course. Tier 1s provide minimal challenge from levels to mechanics, but at World Tier 2, you'll have 6 waves, then the Fell Council to beat. These enemies will be level 75. At Tier 3 though, that jumps another 25 levels, where you're facing level 100 enemies. This then scales up and up and up, limiting your revives further as you eventually face level 200 enemies, so yes, it's going to get hard. That's the tier system then, but how do you get the new Infernal Compasses to actually, access it? It's very easy. You get them from your general gameplay, and we have piles and piles of them when just doing Nightmare dungeons. You can also craft them with the Occultist like you would a Nightmare dungeon sigil, but instead of just sigil powder, they also cost Forgotten Souls for that. Definitely not worth it for tiers 1, 2, and 3 in my opinion, since you're going to get those from, say, Nightmare dungeon rewards, but for higher tiers than that, it'll be more valuable. Further, you can upgrade compasses by using Abyssal Scrolls on them, which will upgrade a compass tier by 1 on use. You can actually get scrolls back from salvaging compasses, and since we get so many of them in normal gameplay, you're going to be salvaging quite a lot of them. So that's the quick overview of Infernal Hordes, how you unlock them, the tier system, but what actually happens within them. Once you get going, you're going to be on a 60-second timer to complete as much as you can within that time. Now be warned, you're not really going to get potions back during the waves, more like you refill in between. So you gather as much Aether as you can, which is the currency of this game mode, the full name of which is Burning Aether, but I think everyone's just going to call it Aether. And at the end of the Hordes, you'll be able to spend that Aether to open chests, to get the type of rewards that you can choose between. That could be equipment, materials, or just gold if that's what you really want. So it's pretty kind for choices. To maximize the Aether you get throughout the Horde though, you need to complete as many Aether events and maximize your Aether gains through the boon choices you pick as you go. So, what are boons and banes? At the end of each wave, you get this choice between these 3 hands. Each one offers 1 boon, but also forces 1 bane upon you. Both are going to stack up and up as you go, the boons increasing your potential to clear, or the rewards at the end. But the banes will make everything harder as you go. So it's a choice between what you can handle, as well as the rewards you're interested in. There's a massive list of potential boons and banes to consider, so I'm obviously not going to list them all. However, you want to be aware that there's 4 potential types to be offered to you. Common are the most common, granting low risk and low rewards. Rare for increased of both, and then legendary for some insane increases, 15 extra Aether, but say your evade or potions will have longer cooldowns, or it'll increase the damage of the Fell Council at the end, that kind of thing. Lastly, there's even a unique kind of offer called the Stalking Devil. This will send an infernal demon at you right at the start of the next wave, rewarding 25 Aether when you kill it. We've done that one already. It was a little burning butcher and was actually quite easy at the tier we did. So well worth it if you can beat it. The general rule for boons then is to pick whatever results in the most Aether that you can get at the end. If the boon isn't worth it or the choices aren't great, anything that will make clearing the content significantly easier based on your build and playstyle is a good option. But I mentioned Aether events. What are those? These constantly occur throughout the 60 seconds of the wave, displayed on your map whenever they're going. Going and completing these will reward extra Aether as drops, which will never disappear, so you don't need to worry about gathering it during the wave, you can do it between. There's a bunch of types of these events to deal with, and you want to try to complete every single one offered if you can per wave. This is why doing it in a party is helpful because, you can't be everywhere at once compared to say 4 players splitting up to do every event. So let's run down what kind of events there actually are. There's the Soul Spires, that's a simple one. you just stand within its red circle and kill enemies. That'll lower the spire's health until it's destroyed, and you can make it drain your health through banes that you'll choose between. The aetheric masses, by comparison, are just masses of flesh you destroy. We'll fire off these telegraphs to dodge while you're near it, so just be wary. And then you've got the enemy type events. There's the Aether Fiends, which are just simple enemies you kill like an elite. There's the classic Hellborns, which are a group of elites you'll need to deal with. There's Aether Lords, which are like mini bosses that you'll need to actually build up stagger to stun, like a proper boss fight, coming with unique movesets. They will actually drop 3 Aether though, compared to the 1 of the others we've mentioned. And lastly, there's the Aether Demons, which are part of the Stalking Devil unique offer I mentioned, which again was a burning butcher for us, worth 25 Aether, so well worth it if you can. After you beat the waves though, you'll come to the last phase, which is the Fell Council. Essentially, that's a multi-boss fight where the bosses are going to be weaker than one big bad, but they all have their own mechanics to be wary of. There's a potential of 5 different members of the council, though they only throw 3 of those at one time. So basically, there's a lightning one called Brem. He brings orbs to dodge and also adds he's going to spawn. Gelib, which is the fire one, firing waves of fire, bolts of fire, as well as meteors on the ground. There's the summoner, Ishmael, which spawns claws you have to destroy. The physical one, Maffa, charging people or spawning the bone prisons. And lastly, Wyand, your shadow type, who teleports and fires fast projectiles. So you want to be prepared for any of them, but you're only going to face 3 at once, like I said. So that's the mechanics of the Infernal Hordes. What is it all for though? Well, firstly, while you're leveling, this is insane XP. This amount of condensed mobs and elites, it's so valuable. Ideally, you'll take these on while you're still leveling, and the enemies are at least 10 to 15 levels above you. So as soon as you're in World Tier 4, say, and have Ancestrals on, it's a good idea to farm Tier 2s against the level 75 enemies while you're okay to do that. We found that pushing Tier 3s though against the level 100 enemies too early was not worth it by comparison. Not until we actually had proper gear and were slightly higher level. So just challenge it as soon as you can and see how it goes. Outside of XP though is obviously the loot. At the end of these you can choose between different chest types with more on offer at tiers 3 and above. You spend Aether to open these chests between equipment, greater equipment, materials, and gold. The regular equipment chest only costs 20 Aether, but you can get legendaries, potential uniques, and there's even the chances for greater affixes, even mythic uniques too. By comparison though, in tiers 3 and above, you also get access to the greater equipment chests, which are more expensive at 60 Aether to open. These are going to be worth it though for the better odds, the guaranteed greater affix drops from your legendaries, your uniques, and mythic uniques, making them well worth the cost. I should also mention though, for 20 Aether you could open materials as a chest, or spend all remaining Aether on gold. So you're never going to have useless Aether at the end if you've got odd numbers or something, which is a nice feature. However, as I said, this is also the source for 6 of your new uniques in Season 5. 5 of them are for all classes, and then the last one is the unique for your specific class. For universals, that's the Crown of Lucian, which is the helm, the Endurant Faith gloves, Rakanoth's Wake, the boots, you've got Lokran's Talisman, the amulet, and finally the Shard of Veriethel, a one-handed sword. So that's the 5 universals. But for druids, you can get the Basilisk here, Necromancers get the Mortar Crux, Barbarians get the Third Blade, Rogues get the Umbra Crux, and finally Sorcerers get the Vox Omnian Staff. So if any of those are important to your build, you're going to need to complete the Infernal Hordes and open either regular equipment chests or the greater equipment chests to actually get them. To say the least then, the rewards here are very important for the new season. But that brings us to the end. I hope this overview for the Infernal Hordes has helped you understand how it works and what it's for. If there's anything you guys would add to this guide though, let us know in the comments. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.